Batman Gotham City Escape is the newest Intamin LSM multi-launch coaster to open up around the world. It's located at Parque Madrid in Spain, featuring 3 launches, 4 inversions, top speed almost 65 miles per hour, and it is one heck of a ride experience. Let me tell you, I had high expectations for this thing, but Gotham City Escape delivered in every aspect. You are looking at one of the greatest roller coasters in the world, and in this review, I'm going to dive deep into this attraction, tell you everything you need to know about it before you go out to experience it. And where better place to start than talking about that first view you get when you're walking into the park. You have this big grand vista view of the top hat with the drop tower, and it is amazing. I had the opportunity to visit Parque Madrid back in 2018 before Gotham City Escape was there, and that view was cool before, but adding the big top hat for this attraction just like makes this shot. It's that centerpiece that they needed. And one of the things that I love about it is it gets real up close and personal with the pathways too. You can practically stand under that top hat. You'll literally walk under one of the ride's corkscrews. There's a nice clear view of the launch tracks. All of this builds up your excitement for what you're about to experience. The entrance for this attraction is set up with a set of ironclad gates like you're entering a residential estate. You'll pass under this archway and see this picturesque building directly in front of you. That is supposed to be Wayne Manor. And you are currently there on a tour because Mr. Wayne has opened up his home so you can see a lot of the cool, valuable items inside. I will say this facade definitely more so resembles a castle than a home. I believe it's reused from the old motion simulator that used to be here. They bulldozed that attraction so they can make way for this coaster. So it serves a nice purpose. Don't expect much theming though outside of the manor. It's literally just a cattle pen queue, and if you go when Parque Warner is busy, you'll probably have to wait out here. Gotham City Escape can get a long line. I was there on a relatively busy day, but still managed to get 4 rides on the attraction. So I was satisfied. You enter this nice big beautiful room. This is like Mr. Wayne's private study, and this is a really well done pre-show. It is a little long, probably longer than it needs to be. There's a narrator that comes in, tells you about Bruce Wayne's house, not to touch anything, and then you hear audio from Bruce Wayne coming over to basically tell you the exact same thing. It's a little repetitious, but in true comic book style, of course, things go wrong. The Joker has hijacked your tour. Green poisonous gas starts spilling out of the fireplace. They sound the alarm and it opens up a secret passageway, and you're off to make your escape. Sirens are wailing and you walk down this long dark tunnel, and it leads you to where else but the Batcave. And this is impressive. I love what they did here with the center console setup. Everything just has this big grand scale to it. On the TV screen, you'll see a newscaster talking about some of the reports of the villains causing havoc. You see Joker and Batman come up on screen. The animation is not the greatest, but it helps move the story forward. You'll walk past the bat suit that's up there on the wall, and then you'll enter a subway station. So at this point, you get the vibe that you're deep underground, and that's when you get to your ride vehicle. And this is your escape route out of Gotham City. It's a really good story. The theming is amazing. The same people that did this are responsible for theming rides like Arthur at Europa Park, the Movie Park Studio Tour, Express Platform 13 at Walby Holland. I was like actually blown away. It's not too often that you get a really thrilling ride experience that has an actual like complex story with elaborate theming. On top of this being one of like the coolest stations ever, these trains really are fantastic. They're pretty short, only holding 12 riders at a time, so it's actually more similar to Maverick at Cedar Point. Other Intamin multi-launch coasters like Pantheon and Tutatis have much longer trains. The advantage to the shorter train is that you're supposed to be able to take maneuvers at a sharper rate, and you definitely feel that. This is a nimble vehicle. There's a lot of tight transitions, some whippy moments that you might not have been able to do otherwise. And these trains are also the updated model from ones that you'd find on like Taiga or Tutatis, Pantheon. They use carbon fiber for their restraints, which is a much lighter material. And then to also accommodate for these new trains, the actual gauge for the track is wider than usual. It's subtle, but it's there. Very comfortable setup. Your feet don't touch the floor, unlike a ride like Pantheon where the seats are a little bit lower. So your center of gravity is just a bit higher. So in that regards, it's actually much more similar to like Velocicoaster, how your feet will just dangle there a bit. But a big difference from this to Velocicoaster, this has onboard audio, and it makes the ride experience that much better. The second you dispatch out of the station, Batman comes on. He says, hey, if something goes wrong, I will take control of the vehicle. And then of course, there's the Joker on a cannon, the same one that you see on the Justice League Battle for Metropolis dark rides. The lights are like dark on him at first, and then he reveals himself. There's a countdown, and then you take off. And this is a very punchy and sudden first launch. There's so much kick to it. They had a very limited amount of track length that they had to reach this speed, so it just shoots you out of this tunnel into the light. Reminds me a lot of the first launch of Sandy's Blasting Bronco. If you've experienced that attraction at Nickelodeon Universe, you just waste no time at all. Keep your head back up against the headrest, because if your head is forward at all, it is going to slam into the back of the seat. Your first element after launch is this little airtime hill that sends you into an inversion, and this reminds me a lot of the start of Pantheon or Taiga. You're dangling there over the pathway, looking down at the other guests, some really nice hang time, you exit and then get propelled into launch 2. If you've experienced Velocicoaster or Terran at Phantasialand, this second launch is very reminiscent to how those feel. This is a really strong moment. You're just boosted along this section of track under one of 2 arches and just propelled into this top hat. So this is your highest peak at 148 feet tall. Really odd shaping. The whole top hat almost looks like it's an angle, like it's like sideways. Most top hats are like straight up and straight down, but Gotham City Escape does something different. Here you have a beyond vertical drop. And to get there, it features a holding brake. Now, I know before this ride opened and people were watching that testing footage, they saw this and they were like, oh no, it's trimmed to death. Like it's gonna kill all the airtime. And I'll admit, I was a little weary of this as well. However, I did not expect it to feel like a true holding brake, like almost compared to like a dive coaster, how it just dangles you there over the edge and then releases you. This doesn't feel like a trim at all. At this point, you hear Poison Ivy come over the audio. She says something along the lines of how you and your friends are gonna fall. Of course, it is in Spanish. Batman says, don't worry, I've got you. I'm gonna take control. Let's go. You just get pulled down this drop. If you're in the back row, you just get thrown out of this so hard. It's like actually unbelievable. This is one of my favorite top hats. I went from being worried because I was like, oh, this trim is gonna kill it. Like contrast this to Tutatis's top hat. That drop has a trim and that legitimately hurts that experience. This enhances it. It is so crazy and it pulls some really good forces too. When you're at the bottom of this drop, you hit your peak at 4.7 Gs. And then you immediately follow that with an ejector airtime hill, which is insane. Negative 1.8 Gs, at least according to the Ride Forces app. The profiling is just perfect. You are launched out of your seat no matter what seat you're in. This airtime hill might be a contender for the best moment on the ride. Now, immediately following that is a dive loop, and this is actually a strange maneuver. The profiling is very different from most dive loops because you enter this at an angle, you're like hanging sideways, and then you roll over. But I like it. You get airtime going into it. You pop out and then are thrown down to the ground. After that is another awesome moment of ejector airtime as you're aggressively thrown from left to right. You have another inversion with a corkscrew. This is another one of those main moments that goes over the pathway. Really fluid motion as you just so naturally rotate around, seemingly passing into a sideways airtime moment like a true wall stall. I love the feeling of weightlessness you get there, and it's that maneuver that then propels you into your third and final launch. You pass under that set of archways once again. You can see all of Poison Ivy's vines over top. Again, the whole idea here is that you're flying through the streets of Gotham City. It's not like super immersive outside the ride. Like we're not on the level of like Terran or Velocicoaster where there's just rock work everywhere. But it's still a nice touch that these are here. You don't really notice it a whole lot when you're on the experience. As you're exiting this launch, there's a sharp bank turn to the left and then you twist to the right. And all that is done while you're gradually rising up into the air and then you twist into your final inversion, which is a stall. And this is like a true stall. Some crazy hang time here. It is extremely drawn out. You're dangling over the pathways. It feels very different from those moments that you get on like RMC when you just hit a perfect 0G hanging upside down. This is more comparable to an element you get on like a Gerstlauer coaster or something from Mach. I think about Copperhead Strike at Carowinds or Monster at Adventureland. Both of those rides are packed with hang time, and this one singular moment fits right in. I think about stalls that exist on Pantheon or Velocicoaster. They're very cool elements, but they're over pretty quick. Like you rotate in and then you're out. This one is so much higher than the others, and I think they did that on purpose because by raising it up, you're losing a bit of momentum. So that's what causes you to truly stall out at the top. And then you rotate out, plunge back down to the ground. You're now back inside a building and you're propelled into a spike. And this is a very unique ending compared to most roller coasters that you're probably used to. The whole idea is that you hit the spike and then you're braking as you're descending back down, and then you take a turntable back into the station. so there's just a very brief backward section. I like the concept, however, in my opinion, execution of this moment could be a bit better. I think the main issue is that you start braking while you're traveling up the spike, so it doesn't feel like a traditional spike where you get that weightless sensation at the top. I was hoping that you would be propelled through the spike and then the brakes would catch you as you slow back down. I think there's a couple things they could have done to make this moment work better. One of them is they could have made the spike a bit taller, so you really are letting gravity take you all the way up, and then you can just gently be lowered back down. But it's still a really fun ending. I like the Joker figure that you have hanging upside down. He's all wrapped up. Batman is standing above. He says, "Good job. Joker's been captured, but stay alert. Harley Quinn remains free." And actually, they have a figure for her too. And then Batman says, "We're going to take you to a safe place. Open gate 3. The laser scans the vehicle, says there's no toxins present, and you're safe to enter the subway station and embark on the rest of your day." So even during the ride experience, the story is advancing forward. It truly is a complete experience. Gotham City Escape is a top-tier multi-launch coaster. Is it my favorite though? I'll tell you what, it is definitely right up there with Velocicoaster. If you've ridden that one, you know it's one of the best roller coasters in the world. I know some people have nicknamed this Spanish Velocicoaster, which I think is fair because they do share a lot of similarities. However, both attractions do feel distinctly different. Like when I think about their top hats, stalls, airtime hills, even launches, they don't provide the same sensations. I think everyone's going to have a different preference of which one they like more, but regardless, this is a world-class thrill ride. It was so worth the trip out there to experience it. It did not disappoint. So for the ride's final score, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Almost perfect. Again, I think that the spike could have been a little bit better. I like the concept, and I think they should do more unique endings like that in the future. But, you know, a company like Intamin, they're always advancing forward, trying to make each attraction better than the last. This is one that you're going to remember though. It is going to stand out among the rest. Easily the best coaster in Spain, and at least top 5 in Europe. Maybe top 3. But I so highly recommend this experience. Come out here to Parque Warner Madrid, take a ride on Batman Gotham City Escape. If you're new to the channel, I'd love if you could subscribe. We do roller coaster reviews for places all across the world. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.